Hello, PlayStation Universe. Thanks for tuning in for another one of our E3 2016 Impressions videos from the city of Los Angeles. We're covering everything we saw on day one. We're back, we're resting a little bit, and I want to hear you guys talk about Nioh, because it seems to be a game that enraptured both of your attentions from the hands-on time you were able to get. So tell me, what's going on with Nioh? All I know is going in, it's a Dark Souls type of game set in feudal Japan. It's got some of those kind of samurai mythological trappings.
I guess the way, like, the elevator pitch would be, it's Dark Souls meets Onimusha for 40 hours. So
I don't see what's wrong with that.
I don't
I see nothing bad with that concept.
Because when we were talking, we went and we talked to one of the game directors, and like he said, that was one of the inspirations was Onimusha, and you can really see it. Obviously, the gameplay is completely different because it hasn't got that perspective that like Onimusha had. Like, it was kind of classic Resident Evil kind of top camera, but you can see it there. It really permeates the feudal Japan kind of feel and stuff, and like the game is just absolutely gorgeous.
So what did you actually play in your demo? Like, what was the content of that hands-on time?
Well, there was two missions that were extensions of the alpha demo. I think that was released in March or something.
Right.
Yeah, March, which I think was it 875,000 people played.
Yeah, a lot of people. And it's released worldwide, so it's really cool. And we talked a good amount about him, about sort of the process and sort of the feedback that they got. And they are listening to the feedback and have adjusted the game the version of the game that we played based on that feedback, stuff like the camera control.
Now, I have to imagine the combat and the battle situations aren't as difficult as Dark Souls, or I feel like that would be the first thing you're telling me. So it's kind of a hybrid there, where we're not like approaching Dark Souls level of frustration, but it is at least challenging you on a moment-to-moment basis.
I think it's simplistic in a like mechanics point, like a button point of view. I mean, you have your heavy attack, you have your light attack, you have a ranged attack like a bow, and then you can like lock on and like strafe and dodge. So the minutia is literally in how you can maneuver around enemies and their attacks,
and that's boiled down to like its purest form.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
So it's kind of get good type thing, as they say.
Yeah.
So what kind of enemies, what kind of situations did you face off against in the demo?
Skeleton type creatures.
Skeleton type enemies.
Skeleton types
wearing a hat.
Right. It's sort of monsters of Japanese folklore, that kind of art style.
It was kind of like a Bahamut type thing, like an FF kind of inspiration, and then there was a kind of Shogun samurai. Wasn't that towards the end where?
Yeah, like a big, just probably like 8-9 feet tall boss.
The game director had to stop the game because we were asking questions, and they realized he couldn't focus on like doing the battle hands. He's like, we're just gonna stop the demo so I can actually talk to you, because like this takes a bit of concentration.
For sure, it makes sense. Well, with so many trappings of Japanese folklore and mythology, do you think there's the potential there for an interesting story to back up that gameplay?
Absolutely, yeah. We like, one of the questions we asked was kind of again getting that parallel of Dark Souls. Like, is the lore, is it something you have to fish out of the game? Like, is it like Bloodborne or like any of the Souls games where like it's steeped in lore, but you have to go for it yourself. You gotta find like the nooks and the crannies. He said there is a bit of that, but it is told in the likes of cutscenes.
There are cutscenes to sort of explicitly tell certain parts of the tale, but then there are sort of side stories and world building elements that you can find as you explore.
Great.
Yeah.
And of course, based on a real life English navigator, apparently, who was one of the first Westerners to go to feudal Japan and become a samurai.
I mean, I know one of the things that first drew me to the game was its visual art. I mean, that particular sort of, I mean, would you describe it as a brush painted style? But it's not quite Okami.
It's like a stylized, but still aiming for a kind of realistic.
We saw Aramatsu kind of in it, didn't we? In the
Yeah. So you do have mythical creatures that are sort of your allies, and I don't. As far from the demo, they don't really come in and help you, but you meet them along the way, and they'll like give you tips or something like that.
But from the art style, it's typical to what you'd expect. It's like sharp imagery, kind of realistic, but still got like a fantasy element, dark, kind of slightly brooding, but still has some color and personality to it. That would, keep it apart from other things like Dark Souls.
Yeah, I think this could be kind of a sleeper hit for Koei Tecmo. It's stuff like the alpha and the response to that and people just discovering and talking about it, I could see it being a game that spreads word of mouth, especially for people who are into more challenging games such as the Dark Souls, Bloodborne.
Like Demon Souls was originally,
Souls,
that was literally definition of word of mouth.
Definition
Yeah.
of a sleeper hit as well.
And Sony
Right,
still,
it just kind of came out, and then as more people discovered it, it's like, oh wow.
and Sony
this
are still
game.
kicking themselves. They could have nailed down Dark Souls very easily.
Yeah,
So the demo ran well. It was fun to play, polished.
Yep, and they said they're
More or
releasing
less.
another beta or a beta version in August, I think.
Right.
For more
Another
feedback.
an August beta leading to what release date? Do we know?
It said end of the year, didn't they? Or weren't sure.
unsure. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, one of the things I want to stress, obviously, we talk about these consoles and like the Xbox One, and the PS4 not being as powerful as they could be, whatever else. There is, as people have seen in the app, the option of the 720, it's just lower graphical fidelity,
Right.
with 60 frames.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With 60 frames, or you can switch it in the options to 30 frames and higher graphical fidelity.
So they call it
Boy, I'm not
game
gonna-
mode, where that'll be 60 frames per second, but it's going to be missing some effects. So
Right.
lower resolution textures on some things, maybe a little less dense fog, and then a movie mode where
Man.
it's 30 FPS but has
Right.
all of the trappings that you want.
Well, I can see different sections of the game being better suited to one frame rate or the other. I know in the case of something like Bloodborne, which immediately came to mind for its frame rate issues, I think
yeah.
I may have opted for 720 just to have that stable 60
Absolutely, I
the
would
entire
have as
time.
well, yeah.
Because it's just required for that kind of gameplay.
yeah.
100%.
Right, awesome. So one of the best games you saw in day one.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely
I
a
would
sleeper
say
hit.
so,
I'm
yeah.
really positive about it.
Yeah,
I mean, the camera seemed a little bit finicky, but I imagine in the options, maybe the sensitivity can be tuned down a
Sure.
little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I hope so anyway.
seems on track to be, a really well done, pretty polished game from Koei Tecmo.
Great. Thanks for sharing, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyone who's been into Onimusha, anyone who's into the Soul series, or anyone who's into Japanese folklore and mythology
Yeah.
should give Nioh a look. Thanks for sharing your impressions, and thanks for watching our impressions from day one of E3 2016. Stay tuned to PSU.com and stay locked on our social channels for more content. Thanks, guys.